everyone. My name is Andrea Flohn, and I'm here with Lara G. Elmore, CEO and President of Tarina Anthologies. Lara is the author of Arranged and has contributed to the anthologies Beautiful Apocalypse and Beguiling Beasts with her short works Chicken Little and Binding of Tybalt. Lara, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to ask you first and foremost, how did you know that you wanted to write reverse harem novels?
Oh, that's a good question. So actually when I started writing, I wasn't going to write reverse harem. I started writing this like YA novel about a girl with mental illness. And I thought it would be really good for putting out there and having other people read it and relate. And but then I just started reading reverse harem about 3 years ago, and I can't get away from the genre. It just has captivated me. I just love everything about it. So when I started and I did Nano, I was like, oh well, if I'm gonna write, it's gonna be that.
So you started as a fan, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you think appealed most to you about the genre when you started reading it?
I just have a really big heart, and I think that you can love more than one person at a time, and I think it's okay. So, so reading about it, where it's like, oh, hey. Plus, I hate love triangles. They're so not fun. So, so you have a book where a girl doesn't have to choose between the guys that are offering her support, and they usually each one of them offers her support in a different way. So they're feeding different parts of her soul. And I think that's really cool.
That is really cool. So how important is characterization in terms of writing reverse harem?
Oh, I think it's even more important than a plot. I think that it's hard enough when you're writing a male female or a male male or female female character relationship to flesh them out as a couple, but now you have a throuple or four people or five people, or I've seen harems where it's like, oh, there's 9 guys in the harem, and each one of those guys has to be a person. You have to be able to pluck them out of the book and have them be a standalone character. And I think that if you don't do that, your readers are just going to say, hey, but he's just there, so it makes it a harem. He's not really a person that is inherent to the story. So I think it's really very important.
Yeah, and it's probably a lot of like getting into the character's mind and their motivations and things like that to move the plot along, right?
Right. So I actually, when I wrote Arranged, I wrote it for NaNoWriMo last year, and I actually did like character interviews. So I like sat down with myself and was like, okay, well now I'm gonna interview Joel and I'm gonna see what he thinks about this. And he's kind of grumpy. And so if you read the interview, he's like giving me back talk, and I'm like, hey, just answer my questions.
Those are some strong characters.
Yeah, oh my characters plague me. They very demanding.
Who do you think has been your favorite character to write so far?
Oh, uh, I would have to say Imogen. So I wrote a short story originally for Beautiful Apocalypse, and then I decided to go with Chicken Little. And so now Imogen is actually our reader magnet, and if you sign up for the newsletter, then you can read it. But it's she's a zombie and she kind of falls in love with a human, and so it's a little Romeo and Juliet, and she's just it's kind of like the first fantasy type novel or novelette that I wrote. And so she gets to be this really kick-ass, character that she stabs a guy with a honing fork. She's a lot of fun.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, kind of changing gears here, I was curious how reverse harem fits into the general romance genre.
I I think it's still kind of looked upon as it's funny. I think people count it out and they're like, it's, it's a subgenre. It doesn't really have that much of a following, but its readers are really loyal, and there's a lot of them. So it, us as a reader myself. um, but I think that it's not mainstream yet. You're not going to go to Barnes and Noble and find a section titled, reverse harem. You're not going to find them on the shelves. And I think that's a shame because, like I said, the character growth and the fulfillment of them is just so deep and intricate that it's really just these characters are people, and you read them and they're just so lifelike. So
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah.
Absolutely. What has felt like your first success as an author?
I think my first success was well, first of all, writing the book and finishing it, because I have ADHD, so finishing anything is like woohoo. But I got some beta readers, and I had one of them ask me if I was sure that this was the first novel that I had written when I wrote Arranged. And to me, I was like, oh, wow, she thinks, this is a stranger, perfect stranger, and she thinks my stuff's good. So I think that was a really big accomplishment. It made me feel like it kind of got rid of the imposter syndrome. So
Right. It probably helped you grow as an author.
yeah.
Progress and move forward.
Yeah.
So you are currently working on your new novel called A Heart So Rare. And I wanted to ask you, what has that process been like for you so far?
So unlike most of them, most of the stories that I've written where I had the idea first, I bought this cover without an idea in mind. I saw the cover and I was like, I have to have it. Um, and it just really gave me Snow White vibes. So I was like, I got to write a Snow White story, but I didn't want to write one that was, um, you know, I wanted it to be a little bit different. I wanted to put my own spin on it. So I added a sister. So she has a half sister whose name is Ruby. And she's kind of like, there's a Snow White and Rose Red story. So she's Ruby. And it's actually a lot of fun because Ruby is mixed. Her mother is Snow's mother, but her father was actually a king of another country, and he died on their wedding night. So even though the mother became pregnant, women can't rule in this country. So they kind of like kicked her out and then questioned the legitimacy of the pregnancy. So Snow White's father hears about this, feels badly, is looking for a wife himself. So he takes her as a wife and treats her daughter like his own. So even though she can't take that throne because it's Snow White's, and she's not a legitimate ruler there either, they have a really good bond as sisters. But then their mother dies, and I'm not giving too much away because that happens in the prologue. It's Snow White, so her mom dies.
True.
Yeah. So when their mom dies, Ruby kind of runs away and tries to figure out how this happened. And so part of the story is mending their relationship, because Snow White was kind of felt really abandoned at a time when she needed her big sister. So I work that in, as well as instead of 7 dwarves, there's 7 elves. And since it's a reverse harem, she ends up with at least 3 of them. Not all 7, because I can't do that. Too many characters to push out.
That would be a long story.
Yeah. I'm aiming for about 70,000 words, but we'll see what happens. I'm halfway through. And I did put it up for pre-order. So it will be out on June 15th.
Excellent.
And I had to give myself that deadline to get it done. So but it was so I bought the cover. I started getting the ideas. I did some planning. I'm kind of a plantster, which is like I do a little bit of planning, but mostly I write from the seat of my pants. So I have in in my writing software that I use Dabble, and I have all of the chapters and they're titled, and then I have the scenes titled, but I don't necessarily know what's going to happen in those scenes. So I have a rough outline of what their journey looks like, where they're going. And then I do some scenes from the evil stepmother's point of view, and those are fun. Because, you know, I don't really get to write evil people, even in Beguiling Beasts. It was a monster themed anthology, and my monster's a good guy. He's just doing his job. So
That's that big heart coming out again.
yeah.
You know?
But no, it's really exciting, and I after starting it, I decided that I wanted to make a series out of it. So it's going to be A Heart So Rare, and the next one's A Love So True, which is going to be Beauty and the Beast, and there's going to be A Night So Long, which will be Cinderella, A Voice So
Wow.
Deep, which will be like The Little Mermaid, and then oh, there's one for Sleeping Beauty, but I can't remember. Oh, so maybe there's all 5 of them. I just don't remember which name goes which one. But next will be Beauty and the Beast. I already have the cover for that one too. So
Oh
yeah.
man, that sounds awesome. I'm so excited for all of those. That's
Thank you.
incredible. So I guess
Thank
you've
you.
had to take a close look at the original stories, probably, to begin
Yeah.
with, right?
Yeah. So I not so much with Snow White, just because I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to take it. But I did with like Beauty and the Beast. I did with Sleeping Beauty, and I'll look more into those too. So not just the Disney versions, but oh, the I can't tell you what happens, but if you read the original Sleeping Beauty, you'd just be like, that is not safe for work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it always seemed
Okay.
kind of creepy anyway.
Yeah.
No. So we have A Heart So Rare to look forward to in, you said June?
In June, yeah.
June 15th, right?
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. Anything else that you're working on that we should know about right away?
Yes. So Valentine's Day, Tarina Anthologies has Love Sucks coming out. It's a love-themed vampire anthology. It's actually our first After Dark anthology. So normally, so in the 2 anthologies that we've already put out, there's a rating of like PG-14. So we wanted it to be something that the whole family, well, not the whole family, but most of the family could enjoy. There's some mild language, but nothing too in depth. Now, After Dark is definitely 18 plus. My grandmother cannot read it. So, um, but it's, we kind of left it open because, you know, Valentine's Day, sometimes people love it and they've, you know, got a special someone. And for other people, it's no fun. It's sad and it's lonely. And so we said to our authors, you know, you can pick whichever side of like the spectrum of love that you want, and then work it into a story that has vampires in it. And I think we have 16 authors in this one, counting myself. So it's going to be a nice thick book. It's really exciting to see what everyone comes up with. That's always my favorite part about writing in an anthology, is reading the other stories. So
That is really exciting. And it's nice that it's specific for adults, you know. Well,
yeah.
we're looking forward to that as well. And I wanted to ask you, what would you say to someone who was not familiar with the genre, who might be curious to read it?
I would say give it a chance, because I think definitely the first thought is to kind of shut it down and say, "Oh, she's got how many people in her corner?" But it's it's a lot of fun, and if you find the right books, you'll find that they actually are plot driven as well. You know, there's a little bit of a hero complex usually with the females, but they're the savior and or they're really special, but that's most books. But so I definitely just say just give it a chance because you won't be disappointed. And I apologize because once you read them, it'll be really hard to read a book with a love triangle in it and be able to stomach that. My partner Kate would be so mad. She is a die on the hill of love triangles. And I am so the opposite. I'm just, no, Kate, no, she doesn't have to choose.
I have to admit, I'm a love triangle person myself.
Really? Oh, wouldn't it be more fun if she just got to have them both?
I
What's
mean,
your favorite love triangle? I'm turning this around here. What's your favorite love triangle?
I'm classic to the Twilight love
Okay.
triangle, you
So
know.
what wouldn't it be nice if instead of like some, excuse me for all of you Renesmee fans, some creepy imprint on her child and transference of his feelings for her, if she could just have her cold-hearted vampire and her warm-blooded werewolf.
If they weren't sworn enemies, I mean, maybe it could work. I don't know. I kind of like the fire between them.
And I will say that there are definitely harems where there's still that fire. And
Okay.
and not in an awkward way, not over the top, but definitely some jesting between, you mean, you know, guys and their friends.
Sure,
So
yeah, I
it's
could see that.
fun. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, that's very interesting and definitely good words of advice.
thank
Is there
you.
anything else that you'd like to share with me today?
Uh no, actually I think that's all except for anyone watching this, come back next month.
Yeah, we'll definitely be here next month and we'll have another great interview for you.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Lara. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.